Now this is pretty boring. I don't particularly care for this typeface for this. I just didn't even choose any typeface. It was already chosen for me. Now, one of the quickest ways to go through a bunch of typefaces and look at them and see how they feel for any specific word you're using is to triple click on the word, bring up the type control panel. Now this is not the type control panel. This is the regular control panel. I want to type a panel. So I'm going to go to Window, and I'm going to bring up Type and Tables, and I'm going to bring up the Character panel, Command T. I want to call it the type because the keyboard shortcut. So this Character panel comes up. I'm going to move it, click and drag it. And here you can actually cycle through all the loaded fonts. So I have this selected with the type tool, the word jump, and then I highlight whatever font name or typeface is in there. Now with the arrow up or arrow down key, you can see that it just went, I arrowed up and it now has a different typeface. Okay, so I click on that, highlight it, arrow up. Now once you do that once, you can just keep on doing it. So you can see in this area right here how I'm clicking on the arrow key and it's changing the typeface. Okay, well, that's an interesting typeface. So if you like what you have, maybe you like that type. I like that typeface. Not sure why, but it just seems fitting. And I'm going to excuse me, I'm going to hold down the Alt key and I'm going to drag this over here again. I might even hit the W so I can see a little bit more of my pasteboard. There we go. Highlight this text, highlight the name of the typeface, and I'm going to hit the arrow down key. I'm just going to, or arrow up key is what I was using. I'm going to cycle through a few of the typefaces that are loaded. Now, just because it's loaded doesn't mean it's good or appropriate. So I want something that just kind of is inviting me to jump off of that cliff. I'm not really looking for something that's shouting at me. So this takes a while. Well, I don't know. That might work too. So try out different ones. I'm gonna hit the W key again. So here's jump with this typeface, which I believe is Impact, which is a pretty overused typeface. That just doesn't feel to me the same. This one I think was nice because it feels like we're on some sort of island, and this feels like it has a little bit of, I don't know, personality for an island cliff. Okay. Now it's a little big for that space again, so I'm going to hold on Shift and Command, click and drag. I'm going to put it in position. There we go. Now this isn't kerned. Actually, most lower cases don't need to be kerned, but it doesn't look too bad. But if you need to kern it, which it is a requirement you kern stuff, you triple click on it, and up in the control panel for the character, the A is character, the backwards P is paragraph. Where it has the AV with a diagonal line, this is kerning. You can float your cursor over it and it might tell you. Right now it's metrics, but if I go optical, you'll see some adjustments. Let me zoom into that. Let me go back to metric. So optical helps a lot. It takes out, kerning is a fine-tune adjustment of space between two characters. Not all characters between two. It's especially important you kern, well, anything that's a headline. Let me hit the W key. Anything that is all caps definitely needs kerned. Basically kerning, like if I'm looking at this particular group of letters, it's not too bad, but I'm like, oh, there's a lot more white space here, it feels, than maybe here. Not a ton. So I can either manually do it, I can even create what's called a custom ligature. A ligature is when two letters touch to create one symbol. Now, the only problem with creating some of these ligatures is it may create a legibility issue. Letters may start looking like something else. So this is a very, very tightly kerned word, and I've created a lot of custom ligatures. And I think it's still readable as or legible as the word jump. Now I'm going to copy this. I'm going to go back to the kerning of metrics, which was what it was before. And you can see the difference that kerning makes. Some people like this, some people don't. Now, as far as something that might be a little bit more optically acceptable, I will click from metrics to optical, and it will tighten up some areas and loosen up others. I still kind of like what's going on here with the blending of the letters. So, and I really would like that tightened up a little bit more. Now you can do tracking if you want to tighten up everybody the same amount. There's tracking, so sometimes you both kern and track. Now this is tight but not touching, and this is called tight and touching. T and T, tight not touching, and this is TT, tight and touching. Okay, T and T. All right, now I'm going to hit Command, or in a PCB control, 0, not O. O makes you want to open up another document. So I'm going to cancel that. Command 0 zooms out to see the whole document, not the stuff on the pasteboard. Now if I hit the W key, the only thing it's going to print is this. Now if I wanted to test and see if this typeface and this setting was nice, I can bring it down, adjust its size. Again, that's Shift and Command, or Shift and Control, click and drag. Hit the W key. I don't know. I really did like the lowercase. So I'm going to hit the W key again. Hit the Command Z a few times. Put that back there. And I would spend a little bit more time on this, playing around with, definitely some different typefaces. I'd have to look at some, upload some, load them. But here's basically one of the ways you play with InDesign. You can also play with color. If I wanted to make this a different color, I can go to swatches. Now you're limited to how many swatches you have because this one doesn't, this is a preset. But if you go to the flyout menu, you can tell it to create a new color swatch. And you can use Pantone process. Hopefully mine is loaded. Let's see. I may have to load my Pantone process. So let's do Pantone. Oh gosh. Pantone CMYK coded. There we go. Okay, they've changed it a little bit. It used to be called Pantone process. So if you have an old software, it's going to say Pantone process coded. The new software says Pantone CMYK coded. Now if I wanted this to be a yellow, I could make it a yellow. And I happen to know that 5-1 is more of a yellowy color. And this is the new bridge, so they've changed the color palettes since the old ones. So I just might want to look through here and see what kind of colors I want. Now if you want that color, you can add it, and it's over here in your swatches panel. And assuming the type is selected, you can fill it with that color. So the type is filled with yellow. If you wanted to, you could fill the text box with a color, but that usually looks pretty bad. See, that looks not so good. Okay, so I could also fill that type. See, I'm clicking on the T tool right here with paper. Okay, so paper, black, yellow, any color that I put in here. Again, to get the Pantone swatches, which is what we use in the industry, you go to the flyout menu. It's little tiny hatch marks up there. New color swatch, and use Pantone process coded or Pantone CMYK coded, and choose your color. Hit add, and when you're done, you can add more, but when you're done, you hit done. Of course, purple doesn't read on there at all, so don't use colors that are low in contrast. Okay, so I'm going to save this and call it jump 1. Save as an InDesign document. And if you're loading them as PDFs, you just go to File, Adobe PDF Preset, smallest file size for online stuff. And I hit Save. And over here you just hit Export. Okay, and I want you to load both the InDesign file and the PDFs. All right, excuse me, let me get this out here so you can see that I have an InDesign file. I need to organize my stuff better. And I have a PDF. Here's what the PDF looks like, opening in Acrobat. Shouldn't be too much of a big deal there. And if I open the jump file, it'll just open InDesign. Okay, so that concludes how to work with an image and text in InDesign.